Welcome to Living Legacy Leadership, where we explore, discover, and share insights, tools, and strategies for a life well lived into elderhood. I'm your host, Donna Kim Brand, author, speaker, legacy strategy coach, where you choose to live life on your own terms while contributing to people, places, and projects along your life journey. I believe that the life you live is the legacy you leave. Now, the guests I bring to you each week all address some unique aspect of learning, leadership, or legacy. This helps you raise your own game as a leader in business and life, and also showcases some extraordinary people who exemplify living legacy leadership. At least once a month, I also offer a training session to skill you in game changer thinking for your own application. So get your notebook ready or sharpen up your memory by tuning in your attention, and we'll dive right in. Now, our guest today is a gentleman named John Almond. Now, he had a successful career over 28 years working for Motorola Corporation. He's now in his second career, which already is racked up about 10 years, as a licensed insurance agent licensed in the state of Florida at least. Now, he specializes in Medicare, life, critical illness, and long-term care insurance. That's a mouthful, and there's lots of key ones he'll share with us today. Now, today he specializes in teaching people who are moving into the golden years, the elderhood that I spoke about, regarding options in Medicare, what their options are available for secondary insurance coverage, and all the rest of this complicated, complex medical system, for better or worse. And working with John, he teaches you all you need to know so you can make the best and most intelligent decisions that you need to. And I know he does this because, full disclosure, John is by choice our family health insurance agent. So welcome, John Almond.
Thank you, Donna.
Nice to have you here on the call from a distance this time, John.
I know. This is the first.
This is a first. Super. Well, I'm curious what you did for Motorola in terms of your role and the skills you use that had you move into such a specialized and impactful role in insurance.
Well, when I was working for Motorola, I held various management positions in regards to new production of new products, pagers, beepers, way back when we had beepers. and then in the final 10 years that I was working with the company, I had the most rewarding job, and that was to represent Motorola in Florida for public education. Motorola believed if you were going to draw on the available workforce, they need to be prepared in the best way possible. So my job was to basically create, through leadership development, systemic change in the way youth were being educated in Florida. Big responsibility, very difficult to achieve, but we did. We made some great strides and did a lot of rewarding work in that particular area. So that was a lot of fun. And then after I left Motorola in 2000, I took about a year off to see what retirement was like. It actually wasn't for me. I was only 49 years old at the time, and I needed a professional line of work. So I decided to do as my grandfather did, get into the insurance business and see how much fun I could have doing that. And, it's very rewarding when you put somebody into a plan that truly satisfies their needs and they're happy with that particular line of insurance. So it really works nice.
That's fantastic, John, because, and I know you do that so well. And given, I'm married to a Brit and lived a long time in England. So when I returned to the States and had to kind of figure out this whole morass of an American medical or health insurance system, I was totally confused. And you were so patient, so kind at untangling a lot of the complexities of the system. And now I see, that you have such a deep experience in educating people and starting with youth. And then now you've morphed in the last few years into working pretty much exclusively with what we might call the elders, or as you mentioned, the golden people in the golden years. So can you give us some Medicare 101? Where do people start in terms of age and signing up and what's involved, just to get us started here?
I think you need to begin looking at when turning 65 is on the horizon. It's like a month or two out. I think then is when you really need to start looking for an insurance agent that is going to give you all the details you need to make a decision for understanding Medicare. For example, Medicare has a few components to it. Part A is hospitalization. Part B is physicians. Part C is Medicare Advantage plans. And Part D is pharmacy. Well, you need to know how you're going to satisfy that 20% that Medicare doesn't cover, and that's with a secondary insurance plan. That could be Medicare Advantage, or it could be what's called a Medigap supplemental insurance plan. And there's a lot that goes on with those plans. There's a lot of moving parts and a lot you need to know in order to make the right decision. A lot of people think, they look at these commercials on TV, and for the most part, they give you almost all of what you need to know, but they don't tell you certain things. And when I
you're talking about John, you're talking about the ones that people know with, say, Alex Trebek or maybe Joe Namath.
Exactly.
Okay, so what are they not telling us?
Well, if everything is free, then how good can that plan be? One thing that they don't tell you is that the insurance companies that deal in Advantage plans, they don't cover all Medicare approved procedures. That's one thing. They don't tell you about that. The second thing is there's an expense in the plan. If you were to look at the schedule of benefits, you will see that there's a maximum out-of-pocket cost, maximum annual out-of-pocket cost. And if you get a plan that has $0 premium, deductible, and co-payments, then that maximum annual out-of-pocket cost is at its highest possible level, and that's almost $7,000. They don't tell you about that. That $7,000 has to be paid before all of your plan benefits come into effect. So if you were to have a bad year, you're out of pocket $7,000, and they don't tell you about that. So that's another thing that you need to know. And
so is that, John, is that different from a deductible, or does that become your deductible and that's the max that you will pay?
Well, they don't call it a deductible because they've already said there is $0 deductible.
Oh.
But what it is, it's a maximum out-of-pocket cost. And when you look at the schedule of benefits you will see x-rays and labs and all of these things that you might go through if you have, a bad year and bad health in the year, and they say 20%, and it says you pay 20%. Well, that 20% is a part of that annual maximum out-of-pocket cost. They just skip over that for some reason. I don't know why, but they just skip over it.
A little something called truth in advertising, maybe?
Exactly. And, if you did know about it, well, maybe you would frown on that particular plan or that avenue of advantage plans. And so you need to know that. The other thing you need to know is that your doctor, if he does take that advantage plan, he could leave the network at any time. So you're always wondering, is your doctor still in the network or not? Because doctors.
So explain about that in terms of who you're able to see on different plans, in network and out of network. That's something I had to learn about.
Right. And that's a good thing to spend some time on, is to know the area that you're in. What is the network? How large is this network? Some of the advantage plans say that they're nationwide. They may be, but the thing that you don't really know until you call a hospital or call a doctor is, will they be taking that plan? And that's another thing that people don't understand. It's not volunteered. That information just doesn't seem to get volunteered. And that is, will MD Anderson, for example, out in Texas, which is one of the best cancer hospitals in the nation, will they take this advantage plan? Many times they don't take the advantage plan in those hospitals. And it depends on the company that you're working with. Is the advantage plan, and is that company accepted throughout the state that you're in? For example, United Healthcare is not taken everywhere in the state of Florida. So people don't understand the area. Sometimes it's a local area network that you're dealing with, and you go outside of that, you're out of network. And when you're out of network, typically that expense is like $10,000 annually. So you need to have your agent explain the schedule of benefits, and you need to ask questions about each and every one of the benefits listed, because that's the only way you're going to get a clear understanding. And if your agent doesn't want to take the time to give you the schedule of benefits, and I have heard in the past that it can be difficult to get a schedule of benefits, but it shouldn't be. It should not be difficult at all. And
I'm going to cut across here, John, because one of the my husband had I guess it was a bunion surgery and hammer toe, something like this, and being from England and fairly new, even though he was on Medicare, he had one of these advantage plans at first that required deductibles and percentages of copays and all that. And then I was left having to figure out the bills. It took me nearly a year. And so subsequent to that, I contacted you and said, give us a plan that is more simplified. And you introduced us to something called the Cadillac plan, as they call it. Could you talk about that for a moment?
Sure. In the Medigap or Medicare